I've been building SEO-centric businesses in some of the most competitive categories for 17 years. Right now, I can say with confidence, it's never been crazier in the SEO space. The search results have never been more volatile, they've never been more messy, and I don't think that's gonna change anytime soon. So sitting here in the beginning of 2024, how am I thinking about this space of SEO? How am I attacking it? How am I approaching it from a strategic perspective? I'm gonna go through all of that today in this video. Let's talk about the current landscape of Google and what I'm seeing. It feels to me like Google's trying to solve a handful of pretty big problems and they aren't exactly sure how to do it. This is just kind of how Google operates. They tend to go after certain problems and overcorrect and kind of test their way back into more of a balanced space. And it's creating a ton of volatility in the search results. It's creating a mess. It makes it seem like Google doesn't know what they're doing, which is not something I buy into. I believe they know exactly what they're doing, and it's only a matter of time before the search results are going to be better than ever. So let's talk about a few of those things that are happening. So for one, Google's obviously trying to figure out how to handle AI. Websites are creating mass amounts of content and flooding the index with pages faster than ever at higher quantities than ever. So Google has to figure out what to do with all of that. Also, we have to remember what Google's business is. Google is in the business of ads. They make trillions of dollars on advertising. And AI specifically is, ChatGPT and Microsoft and all of these are threatening that business. And even Google's AI initiatives that compete with like a ChatGPT also threatens its own business. So that's something Google's had to figure out. And one side effect of that I'm seeing and have been seeing for a couple years now is just how aggressive Google's getting with their ads. And I think they're backed into a corner and they're just trying to print as much money as they can, as fast as they can, while they solve this kind of bigger, longer term problem. All right, so let's dig in and look at what's going on, what types of websites are ranking really well and dominating in Google. Let's take a look. The types of websites that I'm seeing rank and frankly dominate the search results right now can really be broken down into a handful of buckets. So first of all, the big publications, the Forbes, the PC Mags, the CNETs, basically any kind of super big brand that's heavy content. These guys are crushing it. They're ranking for everything. I will say that in the last month or month and a half, 2 months, Google has been making some steps towards kind of toning back how dominant these types of sites are. They're still dominating though. But it shows me that, again, Google has maybe overcorrected a little bit on domain authority and trust and credibility of these monster brands and realizing that they can take advantage of search results as well, just like anybody else. And so what's happened is, like Forbes, for example, they just publish mass amounts of relatively low quality content in the affiliate reviews space. Like they're apparently an authority on everything. And so those sites are crushing it right now and have been for a while. So then you have the forums like Reddit and Quora. And out of nowhere, they're just completely dominating search results. And it makes sense why forums weren't dominating search results before. Forums can be very spammy, can be kind of taken advantage of. And we're seeing that now that Reddit is ranking for everything. A lot of folks are coming in and taking advantage of that and manipulating the system, which, by the way, is exactly what was happening when forums used to rank 15 years ago. Now, the reason why Google is ranking the forums is because users have clearly shown that they want more of those search results. They want to hear from real people who have real experience. And I think it's an indication that a lot of the traditional sites that rank really well in Google aren't trusted. People don't know who's giving them the advice and they want to hear from real people. Right now, there's just a massive overcorrection. Google went from not ranking forums at all to now it's ranking for everything. I think we're going to see this balance out. We're going to see Google kind of throttle back how much Reddit is ranking for everything. Then there's brands. Now this is specifically in the reviews space that I operate in, but I'm seeing for the first time, maybe ever, that a lot of the actual brands themselves are ranking for things that are like search results around or keywords around their product category. So for example, if you were to Google best web hosting, you would normally see a whole bunch of comparison sites, third-party, supposedly unbiased articles and posts about the best web hosting providers. But now you're going to see, like I mentioned, the first bucket, you're going to see the big brands that are ranking, like the Forbes and the PC Mags. Then you're going to see the forums, you're going to see Reddit, you're going to see Quora. But then you're also going to see the actual brands themselves ranking. So you're going to see Hostinger, and you're going to see Bluehost, you're going to see DreamHost, you're going to see hosting companies actually ranking for best web hosting. They're not typically ranking in the top 5, but they are often ranking in the top 10, and this is new. The next bucket of websites that I'm seeing ranking really well and dominating are very deep category specific websites. So you're talking about sites like getvoip.com or security.org or wpbeginner.com or sleepdoctor.com. So these are examples of websites that go really, really, really deep into a specific category, and they do a really great job covering every little aspect of that category. Now, the reason why these sites are dominating is because they should be. These are the exact types of websites that I believe should be ranking a lot more and dominating a lot more than they actually are. And I think that's the future, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in the video. But it makes sense why a site like this would rank really well. A site that goes too broad and focuses on too many different categories and topics can't possibly be as good when we're talking about any given specific topic than a website that's fully dedicated to it. I'm obviously generalizing here. That's not always true, but generally speaking, I would say that you have a much greater chance of having a higher quality website if you have that focus, dedication, and consistency. And Google thinks so too, and we're seeing that. Okay, so where does this leave us? Understanding what the current landscape of Google is, what types of websites are dominating, how do we compete, how do we get into the mix? Obviously, like the big publications, the Forbes, the PC Mags, we can't build that. We can't compete with them in the way that they're competing. Set that aside. Forums, same thing. I mean, it's not like all forums are ranking. It's pretty much just Reddit and Quora. So good luck competing with Reddit and Quora, and especially Reddit. And then obviously the brands, like the actual product or service, that's not something you're gonna build. Most likely, and I also don't think those are going to rank for very long anyways. It really leaves us with that final bucket of websites that are currently dominating that I believe will continue to dominate even more in the future and should dominate, and that's those deep category websites. So in my opinion, that's where you should be focused. That's exactly where I'm focused. That's the types of websites I'm building right now for the future. So getting into more of the details of how to future-proof your SEO and win. Full disclaimer, this could be a whole video, and it will be. I'm gonna come back around and I'm gonna go deeper into my strategies and tactics and how I'm approaching SEO. But for the sake of this video, I just wanna keep it pretty high level and make sure you have a good understanding of how I think about this stuff. It's never been harder to compete in the SEO space, and I am guessing that that trend's just gonna continue. So this might sound a little bit crazy, but even I forget sometimes winning in the SEO space is actually pretty straightforward, and it just comes down to building something amazing. Like that's it. You just have to build something worth existing. And if you do that, you're like 85% of the way there. There's tons of little SEO things that you need to do and that you need to understand, the structure and the kind of architecture of your website. But if you don't build an amazing product and your content is not 10x, then you don't deserve to win. It's actually pretty hard to find examples out there of amazing content. So you have to be very careful. I think there's a trap out there and a misconception out there of what amazing content is because there's not a lot of examples of it. So I think the reason why there's not a lot of amazing content examples out there is because you haven't needed to build amazing content. We've been saying for 15 or 20 years that content is king and blah, 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 blah. But honestly, my belief is that Google really is getting better and better and better and getting closer and closer to being able to discover and surface that amazing content. The reason we don't see it more often is because it doesn't exist. There's not a whole lot of examples out there of that high quality, really truly 10x content. You can see it just by going through and looking at the stuff that's ranking and doing a kind of teardown of that content. So first and foremost, you have to get the subject of your website, the size of your website, the focus of your website correct. If you go too small, you're just wasting your time. The amount of effort and work and energy that has to go into building a site worthy of ranking in today's day and age, it's just too expensive. It's just too time consuming. It's just too much work. On the other hand, you also can't go too big. If you go too big and too broad and you try to focus on everything, you don't stand a chance. You're not going to rank. So you got to get that size right. You got to go somewhere in the middle. Like I said, categories. But what is a category? A category can be defined in a lot of different ways, but I can give you some examples. You can focus on project management, sales, home, all sorts of different things. And all of those would be considered, in my opinion, kind of right-sized. I think if you took a website like water filter systems, I know there's websites out there that are fully dedicated to water filter systems. That's a bad idea. Instead, why not focus on a website that's all about improving your home? Now you can cover all sorts of things. It's super focused. You're still focusing on your home and you're still focusing on even like making a better home or however you want to frame it. And then from there, you can go and you can review water filters. So now you can monetize the same level. You can have that same exact revenue stream. You can have a site that's worthy of ranking #1 for that. But now you have the upside of things like home security systems and home insurance and some of the most lucrative categories out there. In order to win, you got to go deep, and then you got to go deeper. The deeper you can go, the better. If you pick a good category, you go deeper than anybody else, you create better content than anybody else, that in of itself is going to get you 85% of the way there. You don't have to worry about anything else. So until you've done that for like a couple years, you don't have to worry about all the noise that surrounds SEO. All right, so what about AI? The hottest topic ever when it comes to SEO. Right now, AI is mostly just hype that you should ignore for now. Let me explain. There's kind of two aspects of AI that impact our industry. One is, what is Google going to do to Google search, and how is AI going to impact that? If AI takes over the whole top fold of Google search and starts just giving people answers, what need is there for our websites? The bottom line when it comes to the AI and how it impacts search results question is that we just don't know, and we can't worry about it because it's been over a year now and Google hasn't shown us anything that looks decent at all. And there's been nothing but problems. And now Google's kicked it down the road over and over and over again. We know that Google would love for the landscape to be as close to how it is now and has been historically as possible because, again, they're printing trillions of dollars. I think the other thing that we have going for us is that Google needs the websites. The search results, whether it be lists of websites or actual answers, relies on our websites. Google has to be careful because without the websites, there's no Google. There's no internet. And that's really true with this whole AI conversation. The space has got to figure out how to reward the actual original creators, or there will be nothing to train these models on. And so at the end of the day, that's kind of what allows for me to go to sleep at night, is I know that. So I'll have enough faith in that I can just go to work and build something worth existing that actual humans are going to want to go to, and just let the rest play out however it's going to play out. I mean, it's either that or you just quit and you move on to a different thing. Hang up your SEO hat. Now let's talk about the other aspect of AI, which is how AI as a tool can be used to do SEO things. My take on that is that it's mostly, again, something you should ignore and mostly a waste of time. And here's why I think that. I have spent 6 months testing every aspect of AI thoroughly to try to implement it into my systems and my processes, and trying to figure out how can we create content using AI? How can we use AI to help us create content and everything in between? And what I found is that it was mostly just a distraction. It was mostly just a waste of time. I think that you should look at AI when it comes to doing your SEO activities kind of how you'd look at a spreadsheet. It's a tool. Of course, there's absolutely tons of different little kind of nuance use cases for speeding different things up. But the idea that AI can help you create content like 10 times faster or anything like that is just not true. And if you are doing that, you're making a huge mistake and you're gonna end up in a place you don't want to end up. People and Google want content from real people. Google's made it very clear what they're looking for. They're looking for experience, they're looking for expertise. The whole entire Reddit movement in search results is predicated on that fact. That's what Google wants because that's what people want. People don't want content from a little AI prompt. Here's the bottom line with AI. I want to be very clear. Be on high alert because yes, my take is that right now, it's mostly a waste of time and a distraction and you should ignore it. But also that could change tomorrow. So stay on top of everything, keep testing, keep trying things because you never know when that day is gonna come. So I'm not suggesting to literally ignore AI. I'm just saying put it in its place and don't get distracted from what the core focus should be, which is just creating something amazing. If AI can help you with that, cool. But be honest with yourself about how to define amazing. It's a crazy time in SEO. Like I said before, I've been doing this for a long time, for 17 years, and I've never had any doubt about the SEO space or what I do in it. I never felt threatened before until recently, in the last year to year and a half. Make no mistake, I do have some doubt. And I've looked at all kinds of different angles and I've tested the AI and I've done all sorts of different thought exercises and talked to everybody in the space. And I've spent a lot of time trying to figure this out. And at the end of the day, it's quite simple. It's still the same game. There's just a lot more noise, a lot more fear and doubt. But with that comes more opportunity than there's probably been in the last decade or more. So if you're in the space and you're working hard, continue to work hard, but don't get distracted. Don't go after the shiny objects. Build an amazing product worthy of existing regardless of Google. That's the key. That's always been the key. Everybody who's ever done that has had massive success in SEO eventually. The reason why so few of these types of sites exist is because they usually get acquired and then they die. If you're still watching this, I assume you got a lot of value. I appreciate you being here and I'm glad that you found the value you were looking for. I encourage you to subscribe because I'm going to be doing a lot more videos like this. My existence in the business world, 90% of it is SEO focused. So I will be covering a lot of SEO subjects throughout the course of time. And if you set up the notifications, subscribe, all those good things, then you're not going to miss it. Comment if you have any specific questions you want me to go deeper into any other areas that are around this topic, and I'll be happy to do that. Thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And I hope to see you soon.